All right, well, let's get back to today's slate. Very sad. LaMarca Aldridge news. We wish him the best. All right, we have a small 4-game slate tonight in the NBA. Tell me how you're structuring your lineup at each price point, you guys. Let's start with who you're paying up for at $9K. Two top price guys in this range are questionable. Trae Young, bruised calf, and the top price guy on the slate, Giannis, his knee. He's 10,800, missed last night. Matt, are you waiting to see if either of these guys go, or are you looking somewhere else in that 9K plus range?
Yeah, I do think that if Giannis is in the lineup, he's always going to be somebody that you want to at least consider, especially, decent matchup against the Hawks. But it's hard to look past Steph Curry right now. He's just on fire. 8 straight games with at least 30 points. 8 straight games where he's returned fantasy value. No Kelly Oubre for the Warriors, and Curry has seen the largest usage bump on the team with Oubre off the court. He's averaging nearly 60 DraftKings points per 36 minutes without Oubre this season. So it's hard to fight too hard against him. 10-6 is expensive for Curry, at least the 2021 version of Curry. But given how he's played recently, I see no reason why he can't pay it off versus the Cavs.
10-6, second highest price guy on the slate. Kenny, where are you going?
I'm going with Stephen Curry. Give me the 22 field goal attempts per game over the last 5. On such a short slate, I mean, we know that Stephen Curry is going to be the whole offense for the Golden State Warriors, just as he has been all season long. 61.1 DKFP in those last 5 games. Cleveland's actually allowed that you might see that over the course of the season they haven't been great, or they have been great against point guards, but they have allowed 22 points per game over the last 2 weeks to opposing point guards, which isn't the worst spot in the world, and Sexton's questionable to boot. So I like Stephen Curry. I know he's going to put up shots here. I think he's going to have success against a team that's middling at this point. And I love the volume. I can't get away from it when you consider there really aren't that many options here. Jason Tatum probably going against a defense that's a little rejuvenated in LA, which we'll get to later. I like Stephen Curry here. I like the value.
All right, liking the value. How about you, Nick? Where are you going?
The argument against Steph, I think, is he is playing against the Cavaliers, an overmatched opponent. And obviously this is not a great Warriors team, but I guess the counter argument to that is, they won by 36 last night in OKC, and Steph only needed 29 minutes to get to 42 points and hit 11 3-pointers. So I'm certainly not going to fault anyone for going with Stephen Curry tonight. I'll make a case for De'Aaron Fox. I know it's a tough matchup against Phoenix, but he's been virtually matchup proof for going on about 2 months now at this point. Since the All-Star break, he's at 29 points, 6.5 assists, 4 rebounds, almost 2 steals a game, 50% from the field. I mean, the big thing in season long with Fox is he's like a 75% free throw shooter, which for a high volume shooting point guard is really bad. But, in DraftKings, you're really not too worried about that. He's coming off of a 33, 5, 6, and 6 steals, against Washington last night. Finally kind of becoming, I think, the upside that a lot of people saw coming out of the draft, where he's using that speed, he's using that athleticism. He's been a complete monster on the defensive end. I think Sacramento, there's a pretty good chance they probably get blown out tonight, but as he's proven over the last few weeks, even as the Kings lose game after game, he's still been good for 35, 6, and 5 on a lot of nights.
All right, guys, let's move down to that 8K range. Kenny, you got guys like Capella, Booker, Holiday, Jaylen Brown. You've also got Chris Middleton. Now, if Giannis doesn't go, the Bucks could turn to Middleton like they did last night, right?
Yeah, I mean, he certainly is in play here. I did take a long look at him, but ultimately on such a short slate when there's literally, I think, 5 guys in this range, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to take the highest implied team total. I'm going to take the guy who I know is going to put up a lot of shots once again, and that's Devin Booker at $8,700. The Kings, surprisingly, actually have defended a little bit better than normal. I think it's half a point per 100 possessions or something like that. They don't rank last in the NBA over their 8-game losing streak, but I still think that they're in the Suns are obviously in a very good spot here. The only concern is blowouts. I think that you're concerned about blowouts pretty much all over this slate. Nick mentioned it a little bit with Stephen Curry, but I can't get over the fact that this is such a terrible defense, such a great shooter, and they really have struggled to defend the 3 all season long. And I don't care if it's chalky. I have to take Devin Booker if I'm paying this price.
Yeah, Nick, Kenny's right. 5 guys in that 8K range. Where are you going?
Make a case for Clint Capella at 8,900. If Giannis ends up playing for Milwaukee, I think I like Clint Capella a little bit less. I think he's easily their best rebounder. Milwaukee's been a fine rebounding team, but Brook Lopez, not a great rebounding center, one of the worst rebounding centers in the league. In fact, Bobby Portis, a guy who certainly works hard on the boards, but doesn't have the same size as Clint Capella. He's given up 3-4 inches there. At this point, Capella's been virtually a guaranteed double-double every single night. His last 8 games, he's averaging 19.5 points, 15 rebounds, 2.5 blocks. Obviously, he's not a guy who can get his own offense. He is very much reliant on being fed, easy shots around the rim. So that's maybe a little bit of a concern, but he's a guy that you're rostering to rack up DraftKings points via rebounds and via blocks. So again, if Giannis doesn't play, I like the Capella play quite a bit more.
Matt, you got 5 guys to choose from in that 8K range. Who are you going with?
I will say that this is probably my least favorite price range on the slate, but I do think Devin Booker would be my choice. The fantasy numbers haven't really been there for him, but 35.7% usage rate over his last 10 games, which is pretty crazy high. Now going up against a Kings team that is just a disaster defensively, and they're even worse without Rashawn Holmes. The blowout is definitely a concern, but if Booker starts making some shots, he's got the upside for the monster game here. So I'll side with Devin Booker.
All right, guys, let's move on down to the 7K range. Nick, you've got slightly more people to choose from in this range. 6 instead of 5. Chris Paul, Jared Allen, Bogdanovich. Where are you going?
This is the toughest tier, I think, for me. I'm probably going to stay away from Jared Allen. He missed, I think it was 8 games with a concussion. The Cavs suddenly have a ton of bodies in that front court, so I wouldn't be shocked if his minutes are a little bit limited in his return tonight. So he's probably stay away from me. If Trae Young sits, I like Bogdanovich. He's playing some of the best basketball that we've seen from him in a long time. Certainly his best basketball since joining the Atlanta Hawks. And obviously, he had his best game of the year with Trae Young out. That's no coincidence. So if Trae Young sits, Bogdanovich is my pick. If not, if you're looking for just a high floor, Chris Paul is about as solid as it gets. Going up against that bad Kings defense, like these guys mentioned, maybe not the highest upside in a game that has a double-digit point spread that could be over midway through the third quarter. The Suns are in no position to be giving Chris Paul 38 minutes if they don't have to. But no matter what, if you're looking for a floor in that 35 to 40 DraftKings point range, I think Chris Paul is the guy.
All right, Matt, where are you going to go here?
I agree that if Trae Young is out, Bogdanovich is the pick here. Otherwise, I'll take Draymond. Coming off a triple-double last night, these are the kinds of games that he can put up. There are times where he will absolutely kill you as well. Very high risk, high reward type play at 7,100. But like Nick said, this isn't the greatest price range either. I kind of feel like this is a night where you want to get up to the top and then maybe sprinkle in some players at the bottom, at least as of, 11:28 a.m. East Coast time. You never know what's going to happen in the NBA.
Kenny, what do you think? You don't like this price range either?
I don't really love it, but I actually disagree with Nick. I think Jared Allen is a really good play tonight at 7,700. He did play 30 minutes last night against the Hornets. And look, or last game against the Hornets. But look, it's not like the guy's coming back from a knee injury. They're not going to, slowly get him back into the rotation. He played 30 minutes in his first game back, and I don't think there's many concerns that he'll play again here at a pretty decent clip here, maybe 30, 35 minutes again. That's what he was seeing before he went out with the concussion anyway. And the thing for me is I really want to attack this Golden State front court. It's been so bad all season long. Draymond Green, he's a fine play tonight, but one thing that he has not done well, and one thing that the Warriors in general haven't done well, is rebound the basketball. Now, it's not totally their fault. They've dealt with so many injuries, but they're still dealing with injuries in the front court. This is a team that not only has the second worst rebounding rate this year, it's actually gone down a little bit over the last 10 games. Anyway, the minutes should be there for Jared Allen, and I think if he's on the floor, he'll get double-digit rebounds. He had a point per minute, or a DK fantasy point per minute, I should say, last time out. So I think that as long as he plays, I think that he'll suit up and play about 35 minutes, and I think he'll have a good game against a really, really weak front court.
All right, guys, we're short on time, so we're going to combine these next 2 questions, and I just want to know who you're taking below 7K. So click, make a decision. Matt, who's it going to be?
Deandre Ayton, all in against the Kings. He's going to smash them.
right, Kenny, where are you going? Below 7K.
Other side of that, Hassan Whiteside at 3,400, 36.25 DK fantasy points, just 23 minutes against Washington. The Suns are 14th in rebounding. Big advantage on the glass for Hassan Whiteside. He goes for double-digit rebounds and double-digit fantasy points. Provides 6x here at least.
Kenny, you got to learn the meaning of rapid fire.
Okay.
You're delaying time by saying that.
You two.
Those are the two guys I had in each of my tiers. So you took a
wow.
both. I'll throw Robert Williams, 5,800. I mean, the blocks and the steals numbers haven't been as crazy as they were a couple weeks ago, but he gets a nice matchup against Andre Drummond, who looked horrific last time out for the Lakers. Their front court's kind of a mess. So give me Robert Williams, 5,800.